The morning mist clung to the Connecticut River Valley. A gentle breeze rustled the leaves of the ancient maples lining Main Street in Suffield. The sun, a pale disk in the early autumn sky, cast long shadows across the dew-kissed lawns. The church bells chimed 7 times, their resonant tones echoing through the still air. Smoke curled lazily from chimneys, a sign of life stirring within the cozy homes. A robin perched on a lamppost, its cheerful song a counterpoint to the hushed atmosphere. The world seemed to hold its breath, waiting for the day to unfold. This was Suffield, a town where time seemed to move a little slower. The aroma of freshly brewed coffee filled E.W. Christie's small kitchen. He stood by the window, gazing at the familiar scene. Retirement suited him. The quiet rhythm of small-town life was a welcome change from the bustling city. The phone rang, shattering the quiet. He picked it up, a sense of foreboding settling in his stomach. The shrill ring of the telephone sliced through the quiet of the morning. E.W. Christie, startled, reached for the receiver. His hand trembled slightly as he brought the phone to his ear. The familiar voice of Martha Jenkins, the town operator, crackled through the line. Her tone was unusually subdued, a stark contrast to her usual cheerful chatter. He knew immediately that something was wrong.
Mr. Christie, I'm afraid I have some bad news.
Christie's heart sank. He braced himself for the inevitable.
It's Joe Ginobili. He passed away peacefully in his sleep last night.
The news hit Christie like a physical blow. Joe Ginobili, the heart and soul of Suffield, was gone. E.W. Christie. Oh dear. The news of Joe's passing would ripple through the community, leaving a void that would be hard to fill. He thought of Joe's infectious laughter, his warm smile, his unwavering optimism. He offered words of comfort, but they felt hollow even to his own ears. The news of Joe Ginobili's death spread through Suffield like wildfire. A pall of sadness descended upon the town. Shopkeepers lowered their blinds, flags flew at half-mast. The usual morning bustle was replaced by a hushed solemnity. Neighbors gathered on porches, sharing memories and offering condolences. Joe was more than just a businessman, he was a pillar of the community. He owned Ginobili's General Store, a fixture on Main Street for over 50 years. It was the heart of Suffield, a place where people gathered not just to shop, but to connect. Joe always had a kind word, a listening ear, and a ready smile for everyone who walked through his door. He was the unofficial mayor, the confidant, the friend to all. His passing left a void in the heart of the community. The silence on Main Street was deafening. The music had stopped, the laughter had faded. Suffield mourned the loss of its maestro. The world felt a little colder, a little emptier. The loss of Joe Ginobili was a loss to everyone. Joe Ginobili was a Suffield institution. His store was a community hub, a place for news, a chat, or a comforting word. Joe made everyone feel special. He remembered important dates, offered credit without expecting return, a generous soul always helping. But it was Joe's music that captivated Suffield. Every Saturday, the tavern became a concert hall. Joe played with passion, transcending skill. His music evoked deep emotions. He was the maestro of Main Street. Christie finished his coffee, the bitter taste mirroring the bitterness in his heart. He knew he had to do something, to offer some comfort to those closest to Joe. He reached for the phone again, this time dialing the number of Joe's daughter, Julia Richards.
Hello?
Julia, it's E.W. I just heard about your father. I'm so sorry. A sob escaped Julia's lips. He could hear the raw grief in her voice.
He was such a good man. He was everything to me.
Christie listened patiently, offering words of comfort and support. He was a good man to everyone. He'll be deeply missed by the entire town. He paused, searching for the right words. Is there anything I can do, Julia? Anything at all? He knew there were no words that could truly heal her pain, but he wanted her to know that he was there for her, that the entire community was there for her. He wanted her to know she wasn't alone in her grief. Julia's voice cracked as she spoke, sharing memories of her father. She recalled his playful nature, his infectious laughter. She spoke of his dedication to his family and his love for music.
He would fill our home with music every night, playing the piano. I remember sitting at his feet, mesmerized by his nimble fingers.
They continued to share stories, their voices intertwined in a tapestry of shared grief and cherished memories. After ending the call with Julia, Christie sat in silence, lost in thought. The news of Joe's passing had hit him hard. He had lost a friend, a confidant, a fellow lover of music. He thought about the impact Joe had had on Suffield, the void his absence would create. He looked out the window, the idyllic scene now tinged with a sense of melancholy. The sun had climbed higher in the sky, but its warmth couldn't penetrate the chill that had settled in his heart. He rose from his chair and walked to the bookshelf, his fingers tracing the spines of his favourite books. He pulled out a worn copy of The Adventures of Sherlock Holmes, a gift from Joe when he arrived in Suffield from London a few years ago. He closed the book, a faint smile playing on his lips. He would miss those conversations. He would miss Joe's wit and wisdom. He knew that life would go on, but it would be different. Suffield would heal, but the scar of Joe's absence would remain. Christie decided to call his sister, Cathy. He knew she would be saddened by the news of Joe's passing. Cathy had always had a soft spot for Joe, admiring his kindness and his musical talent. He picked up the phone, dialing her number. Christie. "Hello, Cathy. It's E.W. Cathy. Is everything all right?" He hesitated for a moment, offering her and John his condolences. A gasp escaped her lips. "Cathy? Oh, E.W., we will miss him." He could hear the sadness in her voice. They talked for a long time, sharing memories of Joe, reminiscing about the times they had spent together in Suffield. "Cathy, he was a special man. He had a way of making you feel like you belonged. Christie, he was the heart and soul of Suffield. He'll be deeply missed." They continued to talk, their voices intertwined in a bond of shared grief and familial love. The conversation brought a sense of comfort, a reminder that they were not alone in their sorrow. As Christie spoke with Cathy, memories of Joe's thoughtfulness came to mind. He remembered the days when Main Street was bustling with activity, when the town was filled with the sounds of children playing, shopkeepers calling out their wares, and Joe's music drifting from the tavern. He remembered the sense of community, the feeling of belonging that permeated every corner of the town. He recalled the annual town picnics, the 4th of July parades, the Christmas caroling. He remembered Joe's presence at every event, his smile radiating warmth and goodwill. He thought about the changes that had occurred over the years, the gradual shift from a close-knit community to a more dispersed population. He worried that the spirit of Suffield was slowly disappearing, but as he listened to Cathy's voice, he realized that the spirit of Suffield was not lost. It lived on in the hearts of its people, in the memories they cherished, in the bonds that tied them together. The conversation with Cathy reminded Christie of the importance of community, the strength that came from sharing joys and sorrows with others. He knew that Suffield would rally around Joe's family, offering support and comfort during this difficult time. He knew that the town would come together to celebrate Joe's life, to honor his memory, to ensure that his legacy lived on. He thought about the upcoming funeral, the gathering of friends and neighbors, the sharing of stories and memories. He knew it would be a difficult day, filled with sadness and grief, but he also knew it would be a testament to the power of community, the strength that came from standing together in times of loss. He knew that Suffield would emerge from this tragedy stronger than ever. He envisioned the church filled with people, their voices joined in hymns and prayers. He knew that Joe's legacy would live on, a beacon of light in the heart of the town. As the sun began to set, casting long shadows across the valley, Christie felt a sense of peace. He knew that Suffield would mourn Joe Ginobili, but the town would endure. The spirit of community and the bonds of friendship would carry them through. A new day would dawn in Suffield, tinged with sadness, but also with hope. He thought about the future, the challenges and opportunities ahead. Life would go on, and the memory of Joe Ginobili would remain.